Paul Christen, welcome to the Preconstruction podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate you stopping with us, because I know you've got a couple of talks coming up and you're chairing a few talks later. Tell us about that, what you're doing, what you're chairing at the conference.
Well, this is the second year in a row that the British have enlisted me to chair the conference. Basically, you're the MC.
Cool.
And you are the filler in between various panels. You're reminding people of what you're supposed to be doing and what we're supposed to be getting out of this. We work pretty well together,
nice.
The Hanson Wade people, and I really enjoy it. I also appreciate this trophy you got me.
Yes.
Oh no,
that's for your MCing. It's supposed to be a surprise.
Oh well, sorry. I guess we'll reshoot that. But no, it's quite an experience, and it is. I mean, it's nerve-wracking. It's kind of like being in business development, and I've done a lot of that.
Good.
But when it's one thing in a small group of like 5 or 6, even if it's the owner that you're trying to win something with. But when you have 1,000 people in this general session this morning, you feel it.
Oh, big time. There's no doubt about it. It's completely different. Now, when we were just talking, I mentioned something that I really liked about McCarthy, and that was culture within the company. I mentioned middle management. We're in a world now where everyone can write nice core values on a website or the back of a business card, but actually carrying it out is extremely difficult. Give us an insight into McCarthy, your own experience recently.
Well, you mentioned the core values. That is a very deep cultural aspect of McCarthy. When you get into McCarthy as a new employee, you are put through a number of orientations, and they invest heavily. I mean, they sent me away for 3 days at an orientation, myself and 65 others, and that goes on continually. It's a big company, so we're hiring people all the time, and they have these things going all the time. And at the one I was at, the CEO of the whole company, Ray Sade, came and was there for hours.
Wow.
To talk about McCarthy, and they talk about the ESOP, and it's a 100% employee-owned company. So they invest a lot in us in that regard, and they tell us a lot about what's going on. We're very well informed with how the company is doing. But to get there, to get to the company, that was a series of hurdles for me. I've got over 30 years in the business, and spent 10 years in operations and about 20 years now in pre-construction. And they're very careful that they're not bringing in somebody at that level that is, for better word, a curmudgeon, or somebody who's not going to support young people, people with less experience. It's extremely important to them that they have an environment where youth, I would call them youth, they're all younger than me, but, that they're supported, and that there is growth, and they're looking for mentors. And in our particular office, I work out of the Los Angeles office, and we have over a dozen people on staff, and I'm one of the more experienced ones. We use the word experience, and it's very important to them that I am acting as a mentor to them, and being a good example.
Because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Especially younger people. You're basically breeding the next generation, the next leaders within McCarthy.
Yes.
Whether it be in your department or another department.
Yes.
Give us more of an insight, because you mentioned about the assessments that you do.
Yeah. I went in through the corporate recruiter friend that I knew from before, and my resume got sent to leadership. There wasn't actually. It wasn't even I pushed my way in, really.
Good.
But then they checked me out from stem to stern, basically. I had to take a series of assessments, where you're answering questions and you're like, what is this about? It was kind of probing. And I passed, apparently. Apparently, I called it the psychopath test. So
Yeah.
apparently I passed, which is great. And then I had meetings with multiple interviews, in person and online. I think I met with 8 people.
Wow.
And I met with the head of our regional pre-con. I met with the office manager at LA. I met with HR. I met with, the business unit leaders. I met with other estimators. I met a lot of different people. And so they're all evaluating.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to hire somebody right out of college. Okay, you've got a certain GPA, you present yourself well, you say you want to do pre-construction, but it's another when you've been at that higher level.
Yeah.
And they really want to make sure that I'm not going to come in there and sabotage their good work.
Yeah, and they're thinking long term as well, because I'm sure that when you went in there at the position, at the level Preconstruction Director, that you're going to be responsible for so many more people that they have gone out of their way, spent time, money, recruiting. So they're almost handing you the division. Pre-construction director in LA, what does that involve? It obviously involves mentoring and training and developing talent. Anything else?
Well, we're going after various projects. Out of the LA office, we do a lot of design build pursuits. And so I'm working with our staff as well as architectural staff from outside that come in under us for these pursuits, with all the consultants, our own design integration department, our own operations department. People get assigned to these pursuits, and we kind of take a three-headed attack on it. So I'll represent pre-construction on a given pursuit, and we'll have the design integration people, which really work tightly with the architectural design and the structural design. And then operations, of course, those are the people who are actually going to build it. And we have to pull this all together and say the right things and reflect the company well and get the best design out there for the most effective price.
Brilliant. And then what sort of markets are you going after right now?
Well, McCarthy does about a quarter of their business in hospitals, but we also have mission criticals, our growing group, data centers. We also have a large renewables department that is self-performing, large PV farms. We also, of course, self-perform parking structures. There's a whole division that does that. And out of LA, what we're going after is community college work for the various educational buildings. I'm on a couple different pursuits there. LADWP, which is the water department. Any number of projects.
There's loads of work out there, isn't there?
There's a lot of work. We turn down pursuits.
Yeah.
And McCarthy, and this is something that really sold well with me, is that they are selective.
Yeah.
And from my experience, that's a firm that you want to be in, because they are selective. You're not just going after everything.
Yeah.
And they're saying there's a lot of analysis of what kind of return we can get from that work, and what kind of people we have for it. And it's really a well thought out machine. I mean, they do know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
It just shows you as well, like having that confidence that when a project is put on your table to run through pre-construction, that it's already gone through a rigorous go, no-go strategy.
Yes, that's
and
correct.
The chance of success is massive.
Well, and also they will label a project as number one. The resources are put in to win.
To winning it,
And there's no lollygagging around. People are working, and we are driving and refining. And there's a lot of work to do it, and it stretches you. It's one thing to do competitive bid projects. You blast it out to subcontractors and you collect the bids and make sure that they're giving you the right scopes and all that. And that's obviously an important part of many companies' pursuits. We do a little bit of that, not so much, really. A lot of what we're doing is negotiated. We were just actually given, what was it, $750 billion type of hospital recently, because they know us.
Track records.
Yeah, the track record's there, and they're satisfied. They're like, you know what?
Where you go.
Take it. Go.
Hey,
Those are the best.
You know you're in the right company when that happens.
You know you're in the right. That's exactly right, and that gives me a lot of confidence. And you know, I'm very blessed. I praise God for the opportunity. I'm so happy to be here. In the end, though, it's a company, it's a corporation, so not everything's perfect. But
of course,
it is. I've worked at enough places to know that this is really good.
And again, the early signs are there. After 7 months, you're obviously still getting your feet under the table. Mm-hmm. The one thing that a lot of listeners will be thinking is, I'm a senior estimator, I'm a pre-con manager. How do I get to the pre-construction director level? But also, what are the responsibilities? Do the responsibilities change? Does the role change for the better?
Well, it is basically what have you done, and how did it go? And there are some excellent, talented senior pre-construction managers that are getting moved up because of their track record and how well they manage people.
Yeah.
People that don't manage people well tend to not move up.
There you are.
And the people is really, I mean, obviously success is important, but the success is of winning the project, but also not winning at all costs.
Yeah.
If you win the project and everybody is upset because they had to work with you, not so great. So,
but I think that touches on a point that we discussed prior to this podcast, was the middle management. I believe that one of the things that the best companies do is they get middle management right. Have you seen that at McCarthy, and do you agree that once you have people at middle management that empower people and want to bring people on and develop people, that generally that returns a good investment for the company?
For sure, and I would consider myself in that boat, I guess. Although some would say, well, you're a leader. Well, I'm kind of in between at McCarthy. There's a lot of vice presidents at McCarthy. I'm not one of them. Hopefully in the future. But it's very important that those people are managing and bringing up the youth right out of college, or those that are transferring within the company, that they want to work in pre-construction. And it's not always the case that works perfectly. I'd like to think that we're doing a pretty good job in LA.
Yeah.
And people like to be there. We're stealing people from other companies, actually, and because they like what they hear.
Yeah.
We're able to sell the company well with new recruits. I think that there's a lot of people in college that are graduating that like the idea of being in the office, and they like the tech, like the tech stack is what we talked about this morning at the conference, and they feel like they're on par with their friends that might be going to work for Google or Apple or whatever. They're doing tech stuff, and they're doing 3D modeling, and they're working with those models and pulling the data from them. And we use a lot of tech at McCarthy, and we're getting more. And I'm involved on a committee that's looking at new various software, but first of all, analyzing how we do things, and is there something we should change to make our process better, and then what out there will work for that.
Yeah. I think that's a big point, because a lot of companies land here to Advancing Preconstruction, and they think they're going to walk through that door and there's going to be a solution that fits everyone off the shelf, that they're just going to plug into the way they workflow, their processes, their people, and it just does not work like that. You've got to have strong processes, strong workflows, and then find the right tech to plug into that. Just out of curiosity, what is the tech stack within pre-construction at McCarthy right now?
Well, we use Building Connected.
Nice.
I was an early adopter in my previous company of Building Connecto when it was very nascent. We use the venerable WinEst,
Nice.
which works. It is semi-collaborative. We can have multiple people working in there in a given sheet at once, which is somewhat new that I didn't even know could do. I mean, used that for years previously. And then we're using things like Revisto, and we're using Assemble, and when we have a model, we're getting quantities out of it. We're comparing these things. We use Bluebeam as well because it's just frankly so easy to use.
Yeah.
And we still have OST,
Nice.
the old standby, but less and less of that,
Yeah.
really, because it's just not collaborative. And you can have everybody in a Bluebeam sheet,
Yeah.
and everybody can see what's going on. So in the studio. So, but we're looking at new things.
Good.
There's a lot of great providers here. It is. I've been coming to these conferences for many years now, and I'm waiting for that Swiss Army knife software that can do everything. But like a Swiss Army knife, you might have a fork there, but you really want to use the fork that's on your little Swiss Army knife, and you can't use the knife at the same time. So, I think software. I've come to feel that it's like a tool chest, and you might have 3 or 4 screwdrivers in your tool chest, but why do you need that? Well, this one does this a little bit better, and this one fits better, and so this dream of this magic solution that goes all the way through, maybe it's going to come out soon, but we've been waiting for a little while. Perhaps AI is going to be the thing that ties it all together, and it's used through large language models and databases that we can pull this out, and we'll be able to crank things out. The Zebel people talking about Tito, the AI assistant, very cool. Also, that's a kind of a focused tool. It's not necessarily, it does one thing very well, I think, and that's conceptual estimating, which I loved that when I was in my previous role, and you get a call and says, hey, how much does this cost? I'm like, okay. And so
you just plug it on the Zebel, and it gives you, and I would imagine the amount of healthcare projects and hospitals that you guys do, the historical data, once it's in the right place.
Yeah. And we use Modelogics for a lot of that to inform the next job. But we have to be careful. You could, like we were talking about with Ed Zarinsky this morning, you can't go back 20 years and use that data and then try and factor it up. The chances of it going awry, it seems like the math should work, but it's not always that kind of a linear thing.
And if anybody knows about data, it's Ed. Let me tell you.
He's a wealth of information.
He is a walking data calculator. Love it. Well, Paul, this has been absolutely brilliant. I really, really appreciate it. If there is anybody listening to this now and thinking, you know what, I'd like to ask Paul a few questions just on what he talked about, maybe dig a bit deeper, where's the best place to get you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm very liberal in my acceptance of people reaching out to me on LinkedIn. And my email at McCarthy is pjcristen, CHRISTEN, @mccarthy.com.
Brilliant.
And those are the best ways to get me.
Love it. And as always, folks, I will put both those, the link to Paul's LinkedIn profile and also the email address in the show notes below. Paul, it's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Paul.